Hello everyone and welcome to Jamie TV, streaming 100% live on YouTube. And today I am going to show you an app that I feel has slipped under the radar a little bit for a lot of people. I'm just going to take a little moment here just to make sure that everything is working. I'm looking at my other iPad that's off screen and it seems to be, yes, we seem to have a picture. And if anyone who is in the chat could let me know, just that you can hear my voice okay. And as we go along, just let me know if the sounds are at a reasonable level for you. Okay, now I am streaming at a different time than my regular time, so I don't know if we're going to get very many people here. Oh, hi, Wall's here. I started in the middle of a sentence, did I? Oh, I may just start again then, Wall. Hi, Joe. Thanks for that, mate. It's always just reassuring when somebody just lets you know that they can hear you and everything sounds okay. So yes, I did notice actually that my mobile, my iPhone 8 Plus that I used to record the stream using the iRig stream from IK Multimedia, it did seem to sort of just lag a little bit when it was connecting, so maybe it's missed the very beginning. So I'll just say again, today I am going to be showing you, I'm going to give you like a little overview, a little introduction to Audio Evolution Mobile, because I feel that this is a digital audio workstation for iOS, and which is also available for Android, that has slipped under the radar for a lot of people. And that's probably because there are a number of big name digital audio workstations available for iOS. You've got your Cubasis, Steinberg's a huge company, and you've got your Audio Pro that's been around for a long time, that was in there at the very start, and you've got Gadget from Korg, another big name. And Beatmaker is very, very popular. That's been around for a good while. It's popular with your MPC workflow type fans. So, it's kind of, there's some stiff competition. But this app, it has been around for a while. But recently it's had quite a number of updates. Now I've been talking to the developer and he's very on it. He's very keen. He's constantly adding to this app. He's constantly updating it, and he's trying to make it as good as it can possibly be. Now, if you have a look at this app in the App Store, you will find that it's very reasonably priced, and I wonder if that's one of the things that might have actually held it back, because from my experience, my experience is very much in the guitar marketing department, and I know that if you make a great guitar and sell it for too cheap a price, people will just think that it's a budget guitar and really not sort of view it as being a great guitar. And I wonder if maybe this digital audio workstation is just simply a bit too cheap. I think it's a tenner. I mean, I got a code for it, but I believe it's about a tenner. So it's not much of an investment if you watch this video and think, I'm going to try that out. Wall says he's had this for a while and not used it, so this could be useful. I hope so, Wall. That is my intention with this video. I'm not going to try and create any fancy music today or kind of, blow anyone away with any of my very average playing or anything like that. I'm just here to kind of show you what this app can and can't do. Now, I'm going to tell you, this app, right from the word go, what I'm going to tell you is that it is a traditional blank page, old-fashioned digital audio workstation. So if you like your MPC workflow type thing, this is not the app. And if you like the kind of app that generates random notes and helps you to create parts and provides you with lots of loops and MIDI of music that's kind of already partly made for you, this is not the thing. I like this app because I actually find it very difficult to work with apps like Acid or or Groove Rider. Now, I'm not slacking off apps by Jim Audio, because those apps are phenomenal apps. But when I open one of those apps, there are loads of presets, and when I press play to check out the sounds, it's kind of like a finished track. I mean, there's this amazing stuff going on, and I find it difficult to kind of press stop and then start creating something in an app like that myself. And when I use something that kind of generates things and creates stuff for you and throws music at you, I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I didn't create that music, or not entirely, and I wonder really whether I can take much credit for it. But if you are the kind of person who has a song and you just want to put it down on a blank page, then this is very likely the app for you. And if you are the kind of person who just likes to start a MIDI part and start putting in notes and create something from the word go, then this app could very well suit you. So let's get into it. I also have this app, by the way, on an old Android device, this old Samsung that used to belong to my missus, and I'm not very... I don't spend very much time making music with the Android, but I have used this on the Android and it works almost exactly the same. The only difference between the two is that on Android you don't have AUV3, so you can't use your other apps within the digital audio workstation, but it does have its own sounds, which I'll show you as we go along. Hi Paul, thank you for joining us. Well, at least we have a few people here for the chat, so thank you very much everyone who's joined me. I'm not going to spend much time interacting with people in the chat today, because I want to tell you a lot about this app. I'm going to crack on with it. But Wal's asking me a question. Can you import AUM/audio share files into it? That's a good question. That's something I haven't done yet, but I have. I believe you can import audio into it. That's something I will explore more. What I'm going to do is, with this video, I'm going to give you an introduction to the app, show you all the basics of it, and then later on I'm going to make more videos where I get deeper into details. What I'm thinking at the moment is that the way forward for my YouTube channel is to stream more and make less nicely edited videos, because I need to get more content out there, and this seems to be the way to do it. And I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with the live streaming thing. So what I would actually like you to do, what I really like you to do, is to tell me what you would like to see in those future live streams, so that I can kind of make the content that people are asking for. So let me know in the chat what you would like to see, maybe a little later on in this video. If you have questions about other things that this app does that I can approach in future, let me know. Right, so as you will see, you're looking at what, it looks pretty much like what you'd expect to see from a digital audio workstation. I have one track open at the moment, and this track is the one I'm speaking to you on. So what I've done is I've added an audio track, and then I've simply armed it, and I have my microphone going into this track. If you look at the channel strip here, because whatever track you select in the digital audio workstation here, you'll get a channel strip for it here on the left. Now this channel strip might look like it's a little basic, but down at the bottom of it we have two little dots, and if I select the second dot we get another page. Now here on this one I can choose which channel is coming into which channel from my interface is coming into this track. And as you'll see, I've got this set wrong at the moment because my microphone comes in on channel 2 of my interface. So let's switch that over. That was a bit of a risk to take in case it screwed up. Now that actually, that might have put it in the left side of the stream now, and that might actually be a bit pants. I'm going to switch that back. That could be a little annoying for listeners. Let's do that in stereo. Stereo, Jamie Wittering on. Okay, and then we've got some other little buttons here which I'm going to touch on later on. Let's go back to the main channel strip view. And as you'll see, this audio channel strip has EQ, it has mute, solo, you can arm the record, it's got pan and a volume fader. And we'll look at all that a little more later on. Across the top, you've got all your functions, things that you select like your copy and paste, your loop, the size of grid, all the things that you'd expect to see. Now the problem with a new digital audio workstation, when you get yourself a new digital audio workstation, the problem with that is you've probably got digital audio workstations that you already use and are very familiar with. You know, like for me, the Cubasis 3 I use more or less day in, day out now, and AUM I use it all the time, and so I know where everything is, I'm very familiar with it. So if I want to create something, I can just, you know, my workflow is good, I can just go to everything I want. I know where all the buttons are. And when you get a new digital audio workstation, it's like, oh, everything's in a different place, everything works slightly differently, and it's annoying, it's frustrating. So hopefully in this video I can show you all the main functions, the basic functions, so that if you fancy trying it, you can kind of just dive in straight away and know how to get started. So let's see now. I've got a gob track. Now there are lots of places that I could start here to kind of, because a digital audio workstation has many controls, it does many different things, and I'm not going to be able to show you everything in one video. So what I'm going to start with, I'm not sure if it's a great choice or not, but what I'm going to start with is this plus button down here. If I press this, I can add a track. And you will see I can add an audio track. I've turned the brightness right down on my iPad screen, and hopefully that means that you can more or less see the writing on this white background. I hope so. It says I can add an audio track, a MIDI instrument track, a drum pattern track, or a basic MIDI track. I'm going to go with add a MIDI instrument track to begin with. And as you'll see, it's given me a list of things that I can add. Now on the left here, because I'm on an iOS device and not an Android device, I've got a list of AV3s and Interapp audio apps, right? And then over here on the right, I've got the instruments that come with this digital audio workstation. It has its own instruments, and they're quality wise, they're kind of what you expect from a DAW. They are very usable. Some of them sound better than others, but very much usable. Now, something I'm really a big fan of is constructing a piece of music. When I'm working, you know, with some MIDI arrangement stuff, I'm a big fan of using basic sounds within a DAW. Just, you know, don't worry about from the beginning, don't worry about using your AUV3s and trying to find some awesome sound. Use what's in it, right? And create something musical that sounds good. Worry about the arrangement, worry about the part, worry about the sounds later, because later we can choose a sound that suits that part brilliantly. And this is one of the problems that people have with making music on iOS. They expect their digital audio workstation to be able to handle too many AUV3s. If you use internal sounds, make the arrangement, and then later on start selecting great sounds from your AV3s, right? You can do them one at a time, and then you can freeze them, or export them to audio, save on CPU, and then move to the next one. And that way you're not asking too much of your device. It's a workflow. I don't always do it that way, but it's a workflow I'm very, very much a fan of. And sometimes, I see these great YouTube videos by various, there's a lot of people doing this stuff now. And sometimes I see these things and somebody's trying to demonstrate something. They want to create a piece of music live. And the first thing that they do is they start working on a sound. And I think, why are you working on a sound? You've not got any notes yet, right? Maybe work on the music first, perhaps. I don't know. But that's the way I choose to look at it. Now, these internal instruments here, you can get a little preview of what they sound like by just tapping on them. Right, so there we've got as pianos, we've got stereo ground, bright ground, electric ground, and it kind of, as you look through the list of instruments that are available, there are a lot of them, and they're all the kind of things that you've seen in other digital audio workstations. You've got... I do not know what that horrendous noise was. Oh, I know what it was. I pressed helicopter. I thought something had gone wrong. I thought I got some insane feedback loop going on or something. I pressed helicopter. Okay, let's go back to that page. I'm going to press reverse cymbal just because I want to know what it sounds like. There we go. We've got reverse cymbals. Right, so we've got lots of things to choose from. Now I'm going to choose a bass just to get us started here. So let's just find basses. We've got organs, we've got guitars, we've got some basses. Oh, synth bass. Right, okay. Let's go with this synth bass here. I like that one. Okay, so I press OK. And now I have a second track. I didn't mean to do that. Press cancel. Okay, now I have a second track. And this one is a MIDI track. So if I just go back to the first one, you'll see that the channel strip is slightly differently set out between audio and MIDI. Now, first thing I'm going to do is on my MIDI track, I'm going to press and hold where it says track 2, and now I can label it because I do like to label things, and I'm just going to type in bass there. Okay, so now what shall we do? Let's set up a loop. Right, so you'll see why I'm doing this in a moment. I'm not going to say that this app is perfect, right? There are one or two little things about it that I think need changing a little. What I've been doing is I've been using it and making a note of little bits and bobs that I can tell the developer about. And one of the things I want to speak to him about is that, I don't know if it's just me, but quite often when I am moving around like this, sort of pinching around and moving the size of the grid around, I keep getting this pop-up of options like that. But anyway, it's not an end of the world thing. It's just a little detail. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select loop, and then I'm going to, there we are again, right? I'm going to move, oh, actually, these are kind of in place because I was messing around with this before. Now, you'll see up here I've got two yellow markers there for my loop, and the green is the play head. If I press play, you'll see if I press the, no, I'll do that again so I can show you. Right, so if I press this play button here, it plays from wherever the green marker is. If I press this play, it plays from the first marker. Or if there's no loop, it will play from the start of the track. Right, so I've got my loop set up. Now if I just go to my MIDI track and do a double tap, it gives me a MIDI part and takes me straight into it. Then if I pinch and zoom, I can show you those 4 bars that we selected. This is all very much like you'd expect to see in a DAW. It's just that some of the controls and stuff, you know, kind of just work slightly different than others. The joy of doing things live. Yes, indeed. But, you know, I'm pretty broad-shouldered, you know, so if I kind of make a complete arse of anything whilst live streaming, I'm quite happy for you to have a good laugh at me, because I'll be laughing too, and I honestly don't take myself that seriously. Okay, so I don't know why, but this part seems to be not within the loop. I'm not sure why that is. I'm just going to put my finger on it and drag it across, and you'll see that as you would expect, it's snapping to the grid. I'm going to show you the grid while I think about it. The grid is on a button up here that says grid, and you can turn grid off. You can make the grid whatever size you want, so you can have it beat sized, 8th note sized, etc, etc, and you can make it snap to grid or not. You know, it's got all those functions that you'd expect. So I'm going to go with display and snap to grid and set it to a bar. And that's the way most of the time I like it to work. At the bottom of this little MIDI part here, you'll see we've got 3 dots. And if we press the 3 dots, we get a list of options, things that we can do with that MIDI part that we haven't yet created. So I'm probably doing this in a silly order, but it just popped into my head there. So it gives me things like, you know, copy and paste and edit, remove part, we can transpose it, we can merge clips, quantize, all those kinds of things. So let's go into this part with a double click. Now I have my controller attached here, so if I play a key here, I should get a synth bass sound. Ah, there we are. I'm relieved that that works, because any of you who have iPads and have interfaces and have some controllers and maybe USB hubs and that kind of thing, you will know the little anomalies and surprises that can happen when dealing with controllers. Just gonna have a little coffee here. Okay, right, so let's just throw a bit of bass in here. On my left hand side here, I've got exactly what you'd expect to see, a little keyboard, so I can find an octave suitable for bass here. Right, okay, that C sounds quite nice there. Let's just put some C notes in. So you'll see on the left here where we did have the channel strip, we now have a little strip where it's giving me a note length option, and also here I can select the velocity that I want to input the note at. It's set to 8th note, which will do me, but we've got everything from 1 to like 32nd note, and the last one says DYN, which I actually don't know what that means. It might be an abbreviation for dynamic, but what would that do? I don't know. I'm going to try it. I'm not sure what that's doing at all. And as you will see, if whilst I'm in draw mode, I'll speak about that in a moment, I can just tap on the note to remove it. Okay, I don't know what that one does. That's something I need to learn. Okay, I've gone to 8th note, and what I'm going to do is just zoom in. No, I'm not. I've got my bar there. What's going on? What's going on in this hippie's head? Right, that will do me. Right, so I've got 8th note set. I'm in draw mode, which is the mode I need to be in to input a note. I'm going to press a note here, and I've pressed it in the wrong place. So I'm going to just... right, grid is not set for inputting MIDI notes. Right, so I'm going to set this the way I want it. Set it to 8th note. There we go. And so that snapped it to the beginning of the bar. The grid and note length options work together as I accidentally just demonstrated. So let's just put few more notes in there. Right, okay, and now I'm going to just zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to press play. There we are. We've put 4 notes in. Yes, go me. Now, if I wanted to copy these notes, I can just press, hold and drag, and I can select all the notes in that fashion that you probably would expect from using other iOS doors. And then I can copy the notes by going over here. Oh, actually, copy is grayed out. Why is that? Have I done something wrong there? Not quite sure why that's grayed out. And I don't want to be in edit mode for selecting. So let's just try that again. Edit is grayed out. Bear with me while I just try and get my head around this. That might be some kind of a mistake I'm not sure about. I don't know. Let me think about that for a moment and I'll show you something else. I'm going to select a note, and I'm in edit mode at the moment, and you'll see as I've selected the note, I've got these 2 little white markers up the top here. Now this might remind you of Nano Studio 2, because I can grab one of these markers and change the length of the note like that. Now you'll see as I move it, it's snapping to 8th note intervals, because that's how I've set the grid. Okay, now I haven't had any amazing brain revelation about why I can't do the copy thing properly. So let's do that. I'm going to use the opportunity to show you something different. I'm going to select this part. I have to click on select up the top. Then I can select it, and you'll see I can drag the part. Also, you'll see in the corners I have little squares that I can't do it in the moment, but actually I think I should be able to do it at the moment. Or is that just for audio parts? I can't remember. You see the dot at the top and in the corners? You can use that to alter volumes and do fades. I'll come back to that because I'm not sure I can do that right now. I'll come back to that. So I'm going to drag this back here. Right. Now I'm selecting this part, and I can copy this by pressing my 3 dots at the bottom and going to copy, and then I put my little green triangle at the beginning of the next bar, make sure I've got the bass track selected, and then I would go to paste, but that's grayed out at the top. If I press and hold, I get, honestly, I get a drop down list, which is not happening. Why is that not happening? Okay, let's try a different option. Maybe I just need to do a little bit more learning myself. Repeat. Right, repeats. How many repeats? We'll go with just 1 repeat. Interval is a bar, and bar between clips. Oh no, we don't want that, do we? Or do we? Let's see. Yeah, no, that was the right setting. Okay, so as you can see, it's got a repeat function, which is something that I used to use an awful lot on Cubase on desktop. Now, I wonder what's going on with that copy and paste thing. I don't want to waste the entire video trying to just sort of sort out niggly things. Maybe I'll suss that as we go along. It's not because I've got loop selected at all, is it? Okay, stupid hip is making a mess. Maybe if I just copy and I can use paste from here. paste at time marker. There we are, right? So that's one way we can do copy and paste, but we should also be able to use these buttons up at the top. I'll work that out as we go along. Right, so I've now got 3 bits of MIDI, and they're separate. Now I can merge this MIDI, but from what I can gather, you can only merge it when the parts are overlapping. So let's just work on this. We'll use this not as I planned, but to show you a few things. Transpose. I'm going to take this C down to an A. So I want to go down. I want to go down 3 semitones. -3. Okay, so that should be giving me an A now. Let's go here. Yeah, okay. And let's delete this one, right? I'm going to delete this because I want to show you something. I'm going to put exactly the same notes in again, but so I selected it and I pressed cut, and I'm going to press undo so that I can show you something else. There's a button up here called remove. If I press remove, I can then just press on a MIDI part or an audio part and it's gone. And you have to remember to deselect it. Now, one thing that threw me when I first started using this DAW, because I never read instructions, right? And I know what all the functions are going to be in a DAW. I don't necessarily know where I'm going to find everything. So I just kind of bumble along with it, and using a bit of logic and a little bit of luck, I kind of just gradually find everything. And so the thing that threw me was I kind of was using these buttons at the top, like one of them would always be selected, and you would just sort of deselect that option by pressing a different one. But you don't do it that way. Like so, if I've got remove selected, if I don't want to remove anymore, I deselect. Or I could move to select, or just have nothing. Now, hang on a minute. As I'm pressing select there, and I press that, no, copy's still not working. Oh, there. Right, okay. I think I've got it. So, if I am on select, I can use it to select a part. My copy and paste, cut, copy and paste are grayed out. Take select off. Now I can press copy, and then I can go to my next bar and press paste. But I don't want that one there because I want that to be a different note, so I'm going to press remove again and go like that. Okay. Alright, we solved some of the issue. Now, I want to show you how I would input notes with my controller. So let's just go to the second page of the channel strip, and you will see here on this button sorry, for some reason when I selected that it took arm off the channel I'm using to speak to. I'm not quite sure where that happened, but I'm going to go back here. If I lose the microphone, I'm just going to point to things, right? So when I press this button here, you'll see a list of controllers and stuff, and you'll see that my M Audio key station, this ridiculously massive 800 million keys version that takes up my entire studio, is selected. I feel like a mime, right? So hopefully you saw in that list that there's a list of controllers, and then beneath it there's a list of MIDI channels, so you can select it to go to a specific channel. I've just got it set to all so that whatever instrument I've got selected at the time, it will play. Right, so I'm going to play in some notes. Let's see, we've got an A and then a C, I think. and then just arm the track. There we go. C. I'm going to play an F and an E. Yeah, well, that'll sound okay. Right, so I'm just going to move the green marker back a little bit. Now, before I record something, I'm going to go to the tempo icon up here. And you'll see in here, I've got the BPM at the standard 120. I've just left it at 120. We can tap in a tempo. We've got metronome and recording options here. So here I've got metronome selected to go in my left ear only. You can have it in both or just in left. I kind of like it just in one. I've got accentuate first tick selected. You can take that off, but I like when the one is accented. And I've also got recording only selected, so it's not going to keep putting the metronome on when I press play. It's just going to do it when I press record. Here is the volume of the metronome. I've got it set to a 1 bar counting. I only really use that when I'm doing MIDI. I don't tend to use that at all when I'm doing audio, but I always forget to change it. So then I tend to end up just working with whatever's set, you know, being annoyed with it over and over again instead of just going into the options and just changing it. Mute during counting. Yeah, okay, that'll do us. Right, so those are the settings for the metronome, etc., whatnot. And if I just press, let me just get I'm going to have to put my finger on the key before I do anything because I'm sat in the dark, right? Because I've found that when I'm trying to do a video where I'm giving people like a close-up of the actual iPad screen, so that I'm trying to make it so that you can see as much detail on it as possible. With perhaps not the ideal setup, I found that you get the best view of the screen if I have no lights on at all in the studio, and there are no windows in here, so I'm sat in the actual total pitch black. So I need to find the key, and this is a very big keyboard, so it's a long way over there. Right, there we go. Right, I found the key. I've got my finger on the key. So I'm just going to press record. Okay, now you'll see that two things have happened. One is I've recorded some out of time MIDI, and the other thing is that it's recorded some audio. And the reason it's recorded some audio is because I'm using this channel to speak to you on, and so it's armed, and so that's why it's recorded some audio up there. So don't let that bother you at all. I'm just going to remove that. That wouldn't obviously under normal circumstances be happening. Now if I double click on my MIDI here, I can go in and I can select this MIDI and I can quantize it. If I can remember where the button is it under edit, quantize? It will give me some quantize options, and it's set to 8th note, so let's go with that. And there we are quantized, and come back out of there. Now I've touched on this earlier. You will see that my MIDI is overlapping, right? So I should be able to, if I can remember how to do this, I should be able to select both MIDI parts and then merge clips. And now I still have two MIDI parts. What are you doing to me? Honestly, let's try that again. Right. Okay, merge clips. No overlapping MIDI clip found. That's a nonsense. Oh, I know. Yes, there was another MIDI clip here, and it's merged that one with. Yeah, okay. So let's experiment. Let's. Now, wait a minute. Yeah, let's just try it again. Merge clips. Yeah, I think we have one part now. Just double check. Yes, we have one part. So double click, and I should have, yeah, all four bars in there. Right, now I have a very, very simple, very basic synth bass line here, and I'm gonna just use this before we do anything else, just to show you what happens with AV3 instruments, etc. So put my loop back on. There we go. Let this loop round. Bring my volume down a bit so I can speak to you. Now, when I go to this here, it may look like one button on screen. It's actually two separate buttons here. If I press the one on the left, it takes me to the in-app instrument that we're playing here. We've got a little close-up of the keyboard here where I can drag along to the octave I want to be on. I can play in on screen, and I can use this to record with. We've got sustain, and we've got modulation wheels if we want them. We've got basic controls, so we can alter the attack, decay, sustain, release, cut off, resonance, and fine tune the pitch of that synth bass. And you will find that all of the instruments that come with the app have pretty much that kind of layout. There are variations between them depending on what instrument it is, but basically that's how it's set out. And you know what? It's functional. It does the job, and you can get some really cool sounds out of the instruments in the app. And I'll tell you something that stretched me a little bit was when I was messing around with the Android version. I could only use instruments that come with the app because you can't use anything from outside, and it made me work with these basic instruments. It made me get what I could out of those instruments. So working with the instead of just kind of going straight for an AUV3 that we all know is great and has wonderful sounds in it, it made me work with something more basic and see what I could draw out of it, and that was really good for me. I kind of relearned a lot of things. So anyway, there's enough wittering about me. So that's what happens if we press this button here, the one that's like a little picture of some keys. It takes us into the instrument that we've selected, and you've already seen what happens if I press this button. We can select a different instrument. So maybe it's time to do that. Is there something on here I want to show you? No, I'll show you that later. Right, so I'm gonna go over here to this list again, and this time I'm going to select an AUV3 instrument because I just want to show you what that kind of functionality is like. Then I want a bass, so maybe we should use Jakob's app. I want to remember to show you this thing at the top. That's very, very important. I'm going to do that in a moment. So let's go to Agonizer, and then we shall open Agonizer. Right now, so when it opens, it always gives you this keyboard at the bottom, and we don't need that because I've got a controller keyboard plugged in. So to deselect that, up here at the top, I just press AU, and that just tells the app that I just want the AV3 to fill the screen. And of course, not all of it always fits on, but usually, and this one doesn't seem to be doing it actually, but usually you can move it up and down so you can get to the controls that we can't reach. This one's not moving. Usually you just put your finger on it and you can move it up and down. Now of course, because this is kind of a bit of a lesser known app, there are some apps that are not perfectly compatible visually. Like the developers, they make different size interfaces apparently to suit the different digital audio workstations. Some of them aren't quite bob on for this. I may just drop Jakob a message about this and just let him know, because this is actually the first time I've opened this app inside of Audio Evolution. So I wonder if actually if I take AU off, would I then be able to move it? No, it's not. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. All we're going to do is select a preset anyway. That's all we're doing for now. I'm going to press play. We'll just find a nice... Where's that one I really like? I really like that one. Okay. I'm going to come out of there and bring my volume down a little bit. Right. Now, if I go... Shall I show you that or shall I show you that? Let's do a little more on the channel strip before I go off of this page. I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you... here is where we would... If I wanted to use a MIDI app on this channel, if I wanted to use something like, let's say if I've got... let's say if I've got something like Atom, and I want to use the piano roll off of Atom, or if I want to use some kind of... I don't really have many of these kind of apps. They're not really my bag very much, but something... Vortex is your man for these kind of apps, actually, over at Mobile Music Pro. But, you know, if I want to use a MIDI app within... on this channel, I would go here, and I can add one here. Yeah, these are the kind of things. I could have just pressed that button. It would have saved my brain, wouldn't it? So, like your Rosetta Suite type apps. Those kinds of things. All right, and then we've got some sends here for effects. And we've got an effects grid. So the effects grid is where we would add, like, the inline effects. And then sends are something... well, you know, I will talk about that now. Right, so if you set up a send, you create a send channel that you could send multiple instruments to. And the effects grid here is really pretty cool. I can just add effects like... Now, what would we have add to a bass like that? What would... All right, so let's say I want to throw a compressor onto that. You know what? Seeing as how it's Beef release day today, with my presets in it, if I can just have a little tiny brag there, let's just throw Beef onto it, right? Okay, and so now Beef is the first thing in our effects grid here, and so I can dial in a sound suitable for this bass. Sorry about the volume there. For a moment I forgot where the volume was on Beef. Which is pretty dumb. Maybe a bit of bit crushing perhaps. Okay. And of course, right, I can add whatever I want in this grid, and you'll see there's plenty of space to add effects. Let's say if I wanted to, you know, add a delay or something, I just go into the next slot and select what I want, right? So I'm going to go with like do I really want a delay on that? Let's just select something just for laugh. There. Okay. All right, okay. Bit of a mental sound. Not really the kind of thing I planned, but there we go. Right. So at least it shows you how it works. Right. So before I forget, I must just show you that if you wanted to go to your mixing desk, you press next up here, and then we've only got 2 instruments, so we've got the channel strips here for those 2 instruments, and you'll see you can get to the same options from your mixing desk. And then if I press next up here, it gives us the other view of those 2 channel strips. We've got read and touch for automation, which is something I'm not going to delve into in this video, but I will tell you the automation in Audio Evolution is very, very good. It's very easy to do. I'm going to next again here. Now this is the channel strip for our master strip, right? So this is basically the mix, and if I was to go back to one of the instruments and set up a send, then what would happen is over here next to the master strip we'd have another strip for the send, and you'd have a chain of effects on that send that you could send multiple instruments to. So like, let's say if you're doing a vocal tune and you want to send all of your backing vocals to the same compression, the same reverb settings, you could send them all to the same place, and saves a lot on CPU. All right, now let's add another instrument. So if I go like this, down to the plus, he said pointing in the wrong place. Oh no, I forgot to show you something. Right, let me show you this. Down here we've got this little view thing, right? And if I just move it along, it's like a quick way of moving along your project, and it works a lot better than the one in Cubasis, I have to say. Down here you'll see, I have to point for you to know what I'm talking about. Down here you'll see that as the bars move along, right, you've got an indicator of what bar you're on and exactly where in the bar, and also a time code in seconds displayed above. And like most digital audio workstations, you have to toggle between, it's not a big thing, but you have to toggle between those 2 things. I like the fact that it's displayed all the time in here because it's very important to me. Another thing, while it's on my mind, these buttons at the bottom of a channel strip, if you use this app on a phone, then there'll be more buttons. Due to the limited room on a phone screen, instead of cramming lots of little buttons onto the channel strip, it's all been split up, so you just toggle through more buttons to find the things that you need. There are a lot of clever, simple but clever little touches like that that make this work really, really well on a phone. I've messed around with that because I don't normally do much music on my phone at all, but on my iPhone 8 Plus this works superbly, and it works just as well on the Android device, just doesn't have the AUV3s. Right, so what was I going, right, yeah, right, let's add another instrument. Let me just unarm that bass. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add drum pattern track. And shall we use a instrument from within, or shall we, let's use the 808 from in here, 808-909 I should say. And as you'll see, when we add a drum track, it gives us a grid much more suitable to creating a drum part. So let's just kind of go down the left hand side here. We've got a list of the component parts of the drum kit, and when you put these notes in this grid, it reminds me of 4Pockets apps, you know, with the little circle in the square, you know. Let's hang on a minute, this is in the wrong place, isn't it? Yes, okay, it's created me a part in the wrong place. Let me just drag that across. Stupid hippie. This is something I'm embarrassed to say took me about 800 years to figure out for myself. I couldn't figure out why when I put my finger on a part I couldn't move it like in all of the digital audio workstations, and I tried everything, and then I eventually realized take select off, and then no, it's not moving now. And then you can move it. Yeah, okay, there we go. Right, so now it's in right place, so let's just press play. Right, okay, I kind of like that. Wasn't what I intended to do, but yeah, I kind of liked how that sounded. Right, so right, let's just stop this and just kind of get some notes in there. Okay, we'll just go with something really basic. I'm only demonstrating how it works. I'm not trying to impress you with my skills, my mad skills. My kids say that, sorry. I'm not trying to impress you with my mad skills or nothing. Okay, let's just press play on that. Alright, basic as it gets. Now there's that thing that I realise I've actually been streaming for almost an hour now, and we've only got this much music. Now normally my streams, if I'm creating any music, it's about getting on with it and getting something created and actually, you know, making some music live. And I really, that's my favourite thing to do when I live stream. But I want to show you how this app works. This is not about me making music. So let's just, while I think about it, let me just press on that and just type in drums. Oh yeah, something else I should tell you as well. I am on iOS 13 point, can't remember, and I haven't updated to 14, and I've been tempted to numerous times because there are certain apps that I would be getting more benefit out of if I was on 14. Like for instance, Cubase's 3 works much better on 14, but there are other things that I'm concerned about, and the main thing though now is that this iPad is a 2017 5th gen, and moving from 12 to 13 has slowed it down drastically, and I'm really concerned about going any further with it. So I'm not sure what to do about it, and to be honest, if anyone's got any thoughts about it, I'd really like to hear from you. But this app, it may seem like a little thing. I sent the developer a message and I said, I don't seem to be able to change the colour of my tracks in my iOS version like I can on the Android version. And for me, I like drums to be red, and I like bass to be purple, and I always do everything always the same color every single time I make a project, and then I immediately can go to the instrument I'm looking for because I see red, I see the drums, and and it's just a little thing, but it's really helpful. And he said that that works in the iOS 14 version, but not on older versions. So yeah, I don't know how many other little things might be better in the more up to date version. I don't know. I can only show you what I've got. But yeah. So I'm really teetering on what to do about adding about updating. Right, now I want to add another instrument. I'm not going to stream for an awful lot longer. I'm not going to be recording any real audio today. I will tell you a little bit about it though before I finish. But I really don't want to forget to show you this. So I'm going to add another track here and add a MIDI instrument track. And I'm going to press Evolution 1 and press OK. Now this is an instrument that comes with the app, and I can't remember if I told you about the shop. I'm making a little note here. I need to tell you about the shop. I need to tell you something about audio, but right now I'm telling you about this. Stay focused, hippie. Right, so this is a tremendous synth. It sounds wonderful. It's got some fabulous presets in it, and that one was really loud. Oops, sorry about that. Fortunately it has a master. Okay. Right, let me just press this up here. I'm going to go to load preset. Now you will see here that there are some factory sounds and there are some sounds by Dina Electronic Sounds, which are amazing. Let me just press this one. Hang on. Right, so that's... No, that's not the one. Oh, this one. Right, and I'm going to have to go back to the thingy and to the master down. Okay. You can just see Dean getting his groove on in his studio to these sounds. Alright, I'm not going to show you around the synth and all the functions, but you can see just by looking at that on screen. Let me just go through these options here. We've got synth, envelope, LFO, effects, arpeggiator, right? You can see just from looking at that this is pretty powerful synth, and there are some stunning sounds in it. And if I'm honest, it's worth buying this app just to get this synth, because if you think about the average price of a good synth app for iOS, right, and this DAW costs what, a tenner to buy? So it's common sense, really. Then we've got also some fabulous sounds from Red Sky Lullaby. In here there are some really... What was the one I played earlier? Was it Negative Spacepad? Maybe that was it. I mean, it's full of fabulous sounds, and it's really easy to dial in a tremendous sound of your own. Just kind of wanted to show you this thing before I forgot, really. This is a wonderful synth. Now, what were the things I needed to tell you about? I need to tell you something about audio, and tell me in the chat. What was it? Shop, right, okay. I can use this track here to show you. Now, this app only costs about a tenner, I think it is, to buy. But it does have some in-app purchases. But none of the in-app purchases are functionality, right? So it will work 100%. You can use all the features. You can record a track. You can mix it down. You can export stems to other DAWs. It does a whole host of things I haven't shown you today. But if we go here, you'll see there are some in-app purchases. Now hang on, I've got my internet switched off. If I press shop, will anything happen? Okay, we have got a list at least. Right, so if I select a sound, an instrument rather, from this list, it will show you, it will give you a description of what the instrument is and a price. Now this drum kit pack is $10.99. You've got an orchestral pack that's 12 quid. Some are cheaper. Here we've got R packs from Digital Sound Factory. That's just 2 quid. It also tells you how many megs each instrument takes up, which is very, very useful. And there's quite a lot of things that you can purchase. Now, I don't have any of the in-app purchases at all. I got a code for the app itself, and I haven't needed to download anything because, of course, when you're on iOS, you have like 1,000 AV3s that you want to use anyway, so I haven't needed to buy anything. A lot of these instruments, at the bottom, there's a little play demo button where you can get a little demo of what that instrument sounds like before you buy it, right? Brilliant. It's all very nicely thought out, very well set out. Of course, if you do buy anything from the shop, you would be helping out the developer a little bit, because he is selling this app, really, honestly, for stupid cheap for what it is. Okay, I just lost my microphone for a moment there. Not entirely sure why. It seems like sometimes when you're opening those kinds of pages with instrument options and things, sometimes it disarms tracks that are armed, which might be a good thing. I'm not sure. It's not a good thing for doing a live stream with, but then again, I should have used my brain really, and I should have plugged my microphone into my mixing desk, which is coming out to the iRig stream anyway. Then I wouldn't have had to have this gob track here to talk to you on. But I didn't think, I didn't think of that then. So anyway, apologies for wittering. I need to tell you something about audio tracks before I go, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I think about this app. So if I wanted to add an audio track, I would go to the plus here and go to add audio track. It's added me an audio track down here, and it is as simple as this, right? We can go here to the second page of the channel strip. We press this top button, and that gives us our options where we want to record from. So we can record my interface, the iRig Pro Duo, has got 2 inputs, so I can record stereo 2 inputs, or the left channel or the right channel, or I can record from. Oh, someone asked about this earlier. Was it wall? So I can record from audio bus, and see all these, right? We could have any of these. So we could have instruments opening maybe standalone outside the app and record them in, which is great for your inter-app audio stuff. AUM, 8 ports of AUM there. We could record Audio Pro in, you see. That's all very interesting. Does it show that I've actually not looked at this? Sorry, I've actually not looked at this yet. So I could maybe, let's say for instance, for some reason, if I wanted to have the fabulous, amazing, the new version of Tone Stack open outside of this app and record it in through the input instead of opening it up inside of this app, I could do that. It's fabulous, right? Then also, where are we? What do I need to tell you? Right, so that's where we select what channel we're recording from. And to record some audio, we would simply arm the track, press record down here, and it's ready to go right away. There are some options in settings up here where we've got sample rate, the obvious things really, the obvious things that you'd want to be able to change. I changed something here. I changed something that is standard when you hang on. It was an automatic, or it might have been that one actually. First tap selects track, automatic track creation. You know, you could switch that off if you want, if you're accidentally creating track, all kinds of things. There are actually a lot more options, I think, in the preferences here than there are in Cubasis. In fact, quite a lot of things about this app are better than Cubasis. I'll talk about that in a moment. We've got, right, this is something I switched off, automatic master volume reduction. It's sort of set to automatically reduce the volume if you're kind of going over a certain level or something like that. It didn't seem to be working very well for me, so I just switched that off. Software monitoring does not come armed when you get the app, and if you're using you know like on your interface, a lot of interfaces have a button for monitoring. You might be using that on your interface and not need this, but to be honest, I prefer not to use that and monitor from within the app. So I've got that switched on. These are all kind of obvious things really. MIDI options, certain display options. I'm not going to bore you with massive detail. Recording audio into this app for me has been extremely, I may not have mentioned, you can do all the usual pinch and zoom stuff that you expect on iOS, but this little pop-up you keep getting is a little bit annoying. Yeah, so I've got this little nagging thought in my head that there's something I forgot to tell you. There are loads more things that I want to show you about this app, but I think what I'll do is I'll sign off shortly, and I will just I will make more videos in future about specific details. So before I go, I'm just going to say that I think that this app is excuse me, is really, really good. My experience with recording real audio into it has been fabulous. I've had a lot less crashes, or in fact I haven't had really a crash as such at all. I've had a couple of instances where what I've done is I've come out of the app and I've gone to another app to do something else quickly, and when I've come back, the recording doesn't seem to be working anymore, and I've simply just closed the app and opened it again, and it's worked again. So other than a couple of little niggles like that, I've had no crashes, barely a glitch of any kind. The audio sounds fabulous when you play it back. It's really, really good. It's the mixing desk is great. I've been able to mix things really nicely in it. It has a more extensive EQ than this. If you go into your effects grid, you can select an EQ from within the app there that's really, really effective. We've got pan, volume and effects sends, but the nicest thing about it for me is the MIDI. Is when you really get into arranging MIDI and stuff, it's, compared to some of the other apps out there, the piano roll really is pretty good. It's maybe not quite as detailed as, say, the piano roll in Atom, but it's as easy as inputting MIDI in, say, Nano Studio 2, which I find is a really nice workflow. And as far as how many AUV3s it can handle before it crashes. I haven't run a direct comparison, but I'm going to say I think it's slightly more than Cubasis 3. If I compare it to other things, I mean, it's difficult to compare it to much else because there's not really, there's not that many doors for iOS that record audio. Audio Pro is a non-starter for me because on this iPad it just crashes like crazy. I can't really compare it to that because I just can't use that app anymore. There's Multitrack by 4Pockets, but that's a simple little door that's designed for opening up within AUM, and for what that does, it does fabulously, especially now it's got all those clip launching and looping options. It's great. It's a different thing. If I was putting down a track that I really wanted a digital audio workstation, a traditional one, a blank page type one like I keep describing it, then right now, the way I feel about it right now, I would probably use this rather than Cubasis 3. Main reason being, Cubasis 3 still has some niggles that, quite frankly, really piss me off. And considering the price of this against Cubasis 3, this is a winner. This is a winner all round. And if you're still watching at this point, I think you should give this one a try if you haven't done so already. Or if you've bought it like Wall and not used it, then get it used. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, so anyway, that is my little introduction and overview of Audio Evolution. I hope I've given you some insight into it. So please do let me know whether you do so in the chat now before I sign off, or whether you message me on whatever platform. Would I ever use Cubase? Would I use it over Cubasis 2 though? Oh, Russ with the yeah. Let me just have a little bit of coffee while I think about it. Hang on. Would I use it over Cubasis 2? That's a really good question. I hadn't thought about that. Right, okay. Well, sometimes I use Cubasis 2 over Cubasis 3 because I start to get really pissed off with Cubasis 3 and I just think, the old version was better, and I go back to the old version and I get stuff done. And if I'm honest, if I was on I'm always on a time limit. If I was on a time limit and I needed to get something done in a certain amount of time, my honest answer is I would go to Cubasis 2 because I know it so well. I know it inside out and it works. It doesn't crash. It's proper. I would use Cubasis 2. But I am enjoying using this because it's different. I find it inspiring to use a different setting, a different app. I like exploring different digital audio workstations. That works for me. I know some people like a consistent workflow, but I think sometimes it can lead, when I do that, if I use the same thing over and over, it can lead to me creating very similar things over and over. It's a good question, Russ. Yes, Cubasis 2 is still a winner. Isn't that sad, really, after all this time? It's still a winner. But I wouldn't hesitate to use this app at all, and I wouldn't hesitate to use it professionally if somebody was coming around to do a recording in my studio. So I hope that's a good answer. So yes, let me know, people, however it is you choose to contact me, whether it's social media, my email, or whatever, or just simply a comment below this video on YouTube. Let me know what more you would like to see about Audio Evolution. I may do a session where we do some audio recording, a session where we get a little bit deeper into some of the functions that we've not explored today. So thank you very, very much for watching, and I would like you all to behave yourselves, take care, and make lots of music. Try not to piss your pants about, and I will see you later.